What's up? I am here with Kenneth Play. My name is Calvin Corelli. I'm the founder and CEO of Simplero. And Kenneth is a really interesting entrepreneur, teacher. I'll let you tell people what you teach. And you are like, you're quite an advanced marketer at this point. I know that you didn't always want to be a marketer, but you realized that that was what you needed to do, and you're happy for it. So we'll get into all of that. So yeah, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, what your business, who you serve, what problems you solve for them, and we'll get to it.
Yeah, so I never thought I would have this job. I'm probably the world's most unlikely sex educator, and I chose human sexuality as the subject matter because I was really sexually insecure. And without going into that story, it basically transformed my own life, overcame some of my insecurity, and decided to build a video course and wrote a book about called Beyond Satisfied, which shares my journey and all the sex technique that I have collected, and then share it all in the book. But what I realize is there's a difference between being a really good educator versus being a really good business person. And when I met Kelvin and learning about Simporo, is like, oh, this is the missing link that I need to be really good if I wanted to monetize my knowledge and my expertise.
Yeah, that's a great point. So most people run into this, right? They're really good at their thing. They're really passionate about the topic, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm so good at this. People should just like come to me and learn from me." But that's not exactly how that works. And so I call it the second hero's journey. And the first one was your hero's journey, overcoming your sexual insecurities to become a master in this area. And then the second hero's journey is when you realize, holy crap, I got to learn how to market and sell this thing and build a business around it. And that becomes your second hero's journey, where you go on that adventure and you know, enter the dark abyss and then find a mentor and, supporters and troublemakers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So congrats on doing that. It's amazing.
Thank you. I mean, if it wasn't for you, I was just teaching live classes, from my community. And then since your encouragement to go digital and like learn how to do the business part, I have made over $1 million in revenue. And that was never possible if I just did it like straight up selling tickets all the time. And that would be exhausting and never scalable. And it was quite scary at first. You go like, I got this like teaching thing going, or I got this coaching thing going to transition into the digital realm. But what I learned is this is scalable and everything is not, like, with my
Right.
time. And I
And
could better service more people than I ever could teaching live. So it also did a huge impact to my community too, because I could like teach people in random country that I could never before.
that's amazing. Yeah. I think that's a huge lesson for a lot of coaches and educators and whatever we call ourselves, that you have to build it in a way that supports you, right? That's not taxing on you, because if you're constantly frazzled and stressed out and having to run around and fly all over the world and all that stuff, if it's not your jam, then you're not going to be at your best, and so you're not going to be able to serve your clients at the highest level.
Mm,
Versus building something that really truly supports you, because my philosophy is that ultimately our true service is the essence of our being, is
mm.
not in the words and the techniques and the specifics of that stuff, though that stuff is good. But you can find that in Google or Chat GPT or whatever, right? What people really want is like who you are, your unique voice and point of view and perspective and your essence. And so if you're constantly burned out, that ain't gonna come through.
Yeah, totally. And it's also like Simpero made it just putting all the, I mean, you encouraged me before, like, just put what you teach, like record it and then put it in a course. And like you were just telling me, just sell it. It doesn't matter in the beginning. So I think overcoming that hurdle at first, but then once you realize the power of this thing, I used to teach like live classes, and I would probably make like to 2,500 in revenue, and after all the expenses and paying everybody, I keep less than 1,000. So I turned this class into a live stream workshop that I sell the recording after it, and I sold $4,000 the day off, and after 2 weeks I sold the recording. I made $10,000. I go like, what the hell am I doing before, you know
Right.
And then from that day on, I just been went on this journey. So thank you.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's like 2.5x, you 3.5x your income with just
Yeah.
like taking a recording and selling it. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty
Oh,
dope.
right.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So little extra work. That's fantastic, man. So yeah, I want to deep dive into because I know that you've been on basically all of the platforms out there and you settled on Simplero. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey there. Like what did you try? What kind of problems did you run into? And what is it that made you ultimately choose Simplero as your home for your business?
You know what is it's kind of a funny story. I started with Simplero, then every digital, because I didn't have the competency in the digital marketing space. So every agency or marketer I hire would have their platform that they use, and they will convince you to swap and migrate. So my Simplero story is actually homecoming and realizing, oh, this is I should have been here all along and not listening to all those people, because you didn't have to you have the knowledge gap, right? So, I've been on Entreport, Kajabi, ClickFunnels 1.0 to the disaster 2.0 that I experienced, and now finally back in Simplero. It's been in every other platform is the same. Like I have to set up a million Zap to talk to a million other things, and like one part worked and one part didn't. So now I basically could build most of the stuff in Simplero and WordPress mostly, but and I'm really excited for the Page Builder 2.0 because my ideal world is everything in one platform, and I think that vision is really coming together. With from like product delivery to email automation to the funnel to the customer service end to community, that will be like the best possible scenario. Yeah.
Sweet. And so what were some of the specific issues that you ran into, or how does Simplero solve this for you in a way that you couldn't find somewhere else?
First thing is in Pearl, tech support is by far like actually talking to a human. Like there's so many bots answer, and then you wait for 24 hours, they send you a ticket, and then you go like, did you still have this question? So you never ever get any answer really. Like the speed of getting my ticket answer and a person actually caring about the problem I'm trying to solve and help me solve it
Mhm.
is one of my favorite part on that is available to us. And on top of it, the concierge service is like I really want to cut down on time on certain if I want to build something, I could either, tutorial to ticket and try out to build, but I could also hack it by like doing one concierge call saves me, I don't know, weeks of build time sometime. So there's that aspect of it. But on top of it, I feel, as working with the other platform is like dealing with Amazon. Like you never actually get a human like most of the time, like they purposely trying to ignore you, and it's a huge difference in Simpearl. And also, maybe Kevin, this is your brain now reading more about your work. Like how is design with the logic behind it, it actually gives you the most flexibility. If you are a creative entrepreneur, that you have a specific sort of like business outline that you want to build, you could really automate, like you could build the best robot that I think that really could take each customer, depending on who they are, right, to what experience that you want to tailor to that customer. And I think that is really special about the whole tagging trigger automation system that we could build here. That is, I don't see how I could build with all the other system. So I could nail down some demographic to like age group interests. If they watch this video from the course, like I could go deep if I want to go deep. But if I just want to be in the simple building my first funnel, it's also very intuitive and straightforward. So you could go at the highest level of granularity if you desire it, or you want to build your first funnel, just have everything integrated, and that's easy too.
Sweet. I love it. So what's been the what's been the impact on you for you so far on your Simplero journey?
Can you ask me that question again? I'm sorry, just have this
Yeah,
stupid.
what's been the impact so far of you working with Simplero for your business?
I basically could fire so many people, and I don't mean it like that. Like I used to have so many other people doing different jobs, and it was confusing. Now I basically could I don't know if this relates to other entrepreneur. I could keep the entire business in my head under one system and able to have a bird's eye view of the entire thing instead of jumping from platform to platform. And that's really priceless because just on like doing our internal like scorecard, knowing how the business before just that meeting on Monday, we have to open 18,000 apps and then like might have to get another like software out there to aggregate all the data to have any meaningful conversation. So now what it does is that I could streamline the machine in a way that I just get what I need it the most and the most important factor. And some feature I really appreciate, like one of your email feature I think is so overlooked. Like it's actually a message from you. Don't write like high graphic crazy email, just write a good email that people have one or two action to take, and that
Mhm.
up our percentage. Like we used to be like want to be so beautiful and whatever, it doesn't do shit. And then once we start to really simplify everything and go like here's the only two doors that they could go, tell them suggest this store, make it easy for them.
Mhm.
So then it really helps me not to be overwhelmed by the complexity of the business
Mhm.
because I could see it and know which part I could work on. And the other part is that I is more like Legos. Like building the digital business is like you have all these parts in Simplero, I could see how this entire project is built. Like, okay, I got to build this automation, I got to build this trigger, and they will enter this opt-in, and then I could then making progress from quarter to quarter makes it easier because I could focus like this is the thing I need to execute, and here's all the building blocks I need to build, and then I could just do that. So if just say if I have a free offer opt-in, after that opt-in, I have to set up the email automation for them to buy the first product. If they buy the first product, I set up the second email automation. So I could like feel a sense of accomplishment, which is really hard, like doing
Mm.
this kind of business. Like, if you're doing construction or like building a room, you actually see your work, as it gets built. And then there's some of the satisfaction that I get from Simpero is that I see the structure that I'm building and also equal more money. So that each time you build a better part of your whole machine, it pumps out more money, which is really exciting.
That's amazing. I haven't heard that angle before. I love that. Like it's like discrete pieces that you can build, and you're like, yes, I did that thing, and you're like, okay, great. Like, what's the next thing? But you can celebrate those wins along the way.
Yeah, and then you see how they interconnected because you go like
Mhm.
this opt-in offer will have this like upsell, downsell, order bump, whatever it is, right? And then it will send in this automation, and then you really see how it helped me clarify what the user journey should be, which
Mhm.
really helps me care about the people I'm serving, right? Because I don't want to send them things that are irrelevant to them, if they already given me that information.
Right.
So then I could really go like I don't want to just send them random things when they like if they already bought something, why would I ever send them that offer? Like things like that. But
Yeah.
this really helps me to really care about the individual as much as I can with
Yeah.
their trigger and automation functions.
That's great. Yeah, I love that.
And your
I love what you
level
said.
of
Mhm.
just to be a super nerd, what I love is the granularity that you could go because I'm a science guy. So when you have automation and trigger, you could go so many, like you could go so deep in it if you want to. And not every platform gives you that level of like design control.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Love it. It's amazing. I love it. I wanted to double click on what you said about email too, right? Because I feel like especially these days, 10 years ago, social media wasn't as prevalent as it's today, right? So,
Mhm.
so to a large extent, social media is kind of where we go, um, consume content. And there's also newsletters are getting, have had a resurgence over the past few years as well. So like newsletters, but very heavy text based, right? Not fancy graphic. But then the type of email that I'm seeing that we're doing more and more now is it's kind of in between the newsletter that is just like content, but not like a magazine, not fancy design, all that stuff. It's just narrative, right? But then alternating that with these super short emails like, hey, are you still looking for help with, right? Are you still looking to lose weight or something, where that's getting people to reply. Because then you're in a conversation, and now you can serve them and lead them into whatever, right? But yeah, starting that conversation from email is really powerful.
Especially in 2024, with AI and ChatGPT, and then like I've been starting to clone myself with my book and all the articles and podcasts I've been on. I could literally take like whatever the story brand method, take their sample email, feed it to my bot, and have my bot write out all the email and then plug in Simplero and do A/B test immediately. Or I could
Mm,
find a competitor or go like write the same email with the same sentiment but with my content, and it would do like 90% of the word, and they just go back and edit it. So, so, and as long as you could feed it example, it could just like do not complete, like you still have to always fact check it and quality control it. But the
mhm.
speed that we could implement things now is
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. It's a wild time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. So yeah, what like are there? Can you share in terms of revenue numbers? Is like a specific impact that you can attribute to Simplero on the revenue side?
Yeah, I mean, I thought honestly when I started this game, I'd be so happy if I make $10,000 a month, from doing like digital stuff.
Hmm.
And our highest month ever on a Black Friday is 65,000. I think I
Amazing.
typically range in the 25 to $30,000 a month right now.
Hmm.
But this realization is that I've been just like writing books and creating content rather than working on my funnel, like just like on the business side of it. And then now I see a clear path. The next case study call I want to do with you, Calvin, is when I get to $100,000 a month. And I see that
Sweet.
I could probably do that in 2024 if I
Hmm.
keep building those Lego blocks and I see the Legos like it's
Hmm.
math. Before was like sort of like wish and hope. Now, from working with Simpero and understanding their engineering of it, I know exactly what traffic and what conversion I'm having. And just like, can I get that traffic number in
Hmm.
order to do that? So now I actually have a very clear plan. So when I say 100,000, it's not like pipe dream, it's like,
Right.
okay, if I'm able to execute this with my team,
Hmm.
like, and every time we have executed something, the needle move. So
Hmm.
it's like, can I do that? And then we have mapped out our what we need to build, like
Hmm.
on Figma, or like visualize it with every step. I mean, if I don't know if like we really map out all the steps
It's
on
great.
paper first and we do it digital,
Hmm.
but I really see the building blocks. So I know like literally, okay, this is the amount of unique visitor that will potentially go to this opt-in. And then when we set goals that actually make sense, is not random.
Hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. You know what we should do? We should get you on my podcast as well, where I coach people like yourself on the
Yeah.
business, and then like we can get you to 100K. No
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, that's exciting. I love that. And then we'll do another one of these too at that
Yeah.
point. Um, that's fantastic. So, what would you say to people who are currently in the market shopping around, or maybe they're on one of the, well, actually, let's do two ways. So, someone who's currently insecure, they're shopping for some kind of platform. What would you tell them?
First of all, like reduce the, I mean, I tend to think in like crazy complex way, and it's like the conversion versus diversion. Like if you never sold anything in your life, but you are a teacher, create a 90-minute workshop and just sell that one class with one email funnel, with
Mm,
one opt-in. So it could be like I don't know, learn how to play pickleball for free, and then it will be like a offer at the end of the opt-in that have one class to sell, that you sell a live stream, that you recorded a live stream. Get the first taste of an online sale, because once you have the capability of taking money online and is a automated process, and then start helping you make money when you're sleeping, then the whole game change, right? Then you could scale from that one simple product, just one automation, so it doesn't have to. But the first thing is get to the first sale, I would say, then get to your first 1,000. You sold
mm,
1,000, and then you get to $10,000 a month for 3 months straight, then you scale from 10,000 to 100,000. But there is path to that game, just like the Lego thing. So I have played the Lego block up to like
Mhm.
20, $30,000 now, and I want to keep building to the 100. And but every time you graduate from the next step, you have more money with more help, so you don't have to, like, it's not the same type of difficulty in the early
Right.
stage.
Yeah.
So I think if you, and I honestly, if you're any type of educator, there's no better time in human history that you could have access to that many customer at any time. They could give you money anywhere from the world, and it
That's
does
right.
not take
Wow.
much. Like if
Mhm.
you just say, even if you just want to make $100,000 that year, and you have $100 offer, and you're able to reach 1,000 people over a year, you basically have to sell, two or three a day, and then you end up with that 100,000. And for most people, getting to six figure is huge.
Yeah. I love that. So that reminds me of we talked about that a while back. Like what was the moment that you realized, holy crap, I can make a living from this online
Yeah,
stuff?
like that class you that I did that with you with your encouragement.
Hmm.
And then I just went like, F it. Like I just did it with webcams and stuff. It was horrible. And like I got kicked off on YouTube as a whole story. But soon as I went, like actually did all the thing, like register for a business, have the business account, it just that when I I used to get like selling ticket things. So you work so hard to promote one event, and then you sell a ticket and you stress out about that one event. When that system was set up, and as soon as I start just receiving the money, like that is like it changes your life. It's not just like your business, right? Like your whole life change when you go from like a scalable business model to your working for money, to the system making you money, and you just built the system. I think that is the most like life-changing part of it.
It's amazing. It's like it makes me so happy when I see people do that. It's just a magical moment. So take me to that moment. Like where were you and how did it feel? Where in your body did you feel it? What was that? What was that like? What was it feeling like?
I remember, we sold a class for $47 or something, and it's still in my system. Like I could track back to the data in the system, and I was like, it's after the class. It was at night, and the class is over. You're exhausted. You're going home. You're like, fuck. And then I still see order coming in because I made it live right after the class, and I'm like, holy fuck! Like I'm laying here and there's money. And then I remember I was posting on Instagram or Facebook. I go like, "Oh, everything just changed," and people ask me what it is, and I go like, "I made my first like passive online sale," and they have no idea what I was talking about. But like that is has been life changing since, and now
Yeah.
like my life I've took completely different path. I would have never written a book. I would have never like be interviewed on GQ and like over 20, 200 plus media if it wasn't for that one moment. Like
Mm.
before, what I did was not scalable, and it could not be like helping like reach that many people. But when that
Hmm.
started, it feeds into my life in a way that I could create more work. I could hire a bigger team. But
Yeah.
without that, it doesn't change. You're stuck in the rat race, and it's done.
Got to do a selfie
Yeah,
when you're doing something
yeah,
fun. Yeah, I'm listening.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that changed my life, and then now this part is even more exciting. I realize, oh shit, like the power of all the technology that is available in 2024, and how much more the machine could do for me. Like before, it's like you start with the basic, right? You need a way for people to pay you. Now you could engineer this thing that is like I could do it at a level that wasn't possible before.
Mhm.
Like the way that I could scale. So now I see like making 1 million a year isn't that like it will definitely happen. And I bet from 1 to 10 mil is even not easier, but it's just like inevitable because you train
Mhm.
yourself with the skill.
Yeah.
But I mean, also the other part that is not as like mathematical tangible is Simplero is actually feel like you're working with a family and a group of people actually care. You are the only founder like I talked, not like putting on a show, but that I feel like interact with you in a human way. I know how much you care about user and the community, and just knowing their entire team there is just really great to feel like you're not talking to a bot.
Hmm. Love that. That's fantastic. So, yeah, very real. So what was like, I'm having insights here. I'm like,
Yeah.
because we talked about that, like the moment thing before, but like, I think it's such a big thing. Like people who've experienced it will never forget that moment.
Mm.
And people who haven't experienced it typically don't believe that it's possible, or they have insecurities, or like their fears or reservations around it. And the more, so I think the more that we can get people to really visualize and see and believe that that's possible for them, the more we can change the world. Right? It's amazing.
You know what? I'm just inspired by this call. Like, I'm happy to work with your team and like talk about like making your first like offering, what it actually
Mm-hmm.
takes for you to like start taking money. Like, basically,
Mm-hmm.
it's just 90-minute worth of workshop content, which most teachers
Right.
have. So if
Yeah.
you basically, and then we built out the Lego plan. So you have the manual.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you do all the step in this thing, you will
Mm-hmm.
get to stage one, which you could take money. Then once you could post this link to the internet, bare bone minimum, you will reach the point that you could get that money. Then it's like then it become more fishing for
Mm-hmm.
more traffic, right? And then,
Mm-hmm.
but I think getting that first hit of like life changing business model and your career, that will be, I think that usually is the most scary step, for most people. It's like building their first offer, first funnel, first flow. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, is no more than difficult than any college level class or high school level class, I would think. It's more like you just have to have some grit to do all the homework. You gotta complete
Yeah.
your homework. But when you do, it doesn't even have to be A plus work. It could be C level work, right? At that time, like I look at my old stuff, I cringe.
Right.
But it's applying that business model that
Mm-hmm.
everything changed.
Yeah. I love it. Let's do that. I'm down. Let's
Yeah,
get that scheduled.
yeah.
Week after next. Um, and I was just thinking about for you to get to where you're at, like you can't run ads with what you're doing, right? So it has to
Challenging.
be
Yeah.
it has to be PR, it has to be like podcasts, newspapers. What have you done? SEO, right?
Yeah. What, because even my book is shadow banned on Amazon. And then that was actually something that I learned was at first it was a disaster. But what it forces me is to teach how to sell my own book on my own website. Because what I realized is that when Amazon customer buy my book is Amazon customer, not my
Yeah.
customer.
Yeah.
Having my own customer always win. Then like I went down this rabbit hole of building the Lego blocks. When you have your own book funnel, that changes the game. And also there's so many AI tool like on writing a cluster of article that you could, if you are a good teacher and you have good free content about any single topic, and you have 10 block that is actually really, really good, and then 10 block turns into multiple video, multiple podcasts, and you could chop it all up, but you could become a dot leader in one thing. And because of that, the traffic is like crazy. And I could look at my competitor traffic given all the technology available. Like my competitor will get, I don't know, 100,000 view on their website from one single blog if they do it right. But
Mm-hmm.
then now you could ask ChatGPT to analyze all the highest traffic blog. There's so many things that you could do
Mm-hmm.
today, but
Yeah.
I would say that this is I wish all that tool was available when I have to do one at a time. So
Right.
now I can, like, if you have any level of expertise that you could throw a 90-minute workshop in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you just use all the tools and leverage that you could have in today's day. It
Mm-hmm.
is easier than ever to start like making, to make it work. And I know this sounds like a crazy commercial, but I have done this like really fearing like, oh shit, I don't want to learn all this technology and I don't want to do all this business stuff. I just want to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized after start doing it is that it's actually quite enjoyable. It's not what I thought it would be,
Mm-hmm.
because you actually gain control. And this sounds
Yeah.
cynical. Like having staff is much tougher than building a perfect robot. It never complains. You could ask
Yeah.
it to do it over and over again because you fucked up. You know what I mean? It didn't say,
100%.
why did you make me do this before?
Right.
And it never goes to sleep. So it's really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, that's so fantastic, man. Yeah, we need to set up another. another workshop on your SEO game, man.
Yeah.
Um, so for people who are on currently on another platform, one of the ones that you mentioned, for example, and they're already invested there, but they're like, I don't know, I feel some limitations on the like, what would you say to them?
You know, that was one of my fear too. But when I did the migration process, I work with shout out to Victor on the concierge team. I basically go like, this is what I needed to, and he really mapped out the path for me. So it's not like just reading out the tutorials and stuff. And it just made like we imported, I think like 35,000 contact, but it was once we figure out how to do it, then it becomes really clear and easy. And the
Mhm.
other thing is that before I have like Klaviyo, Kajabi here, or Zap there, and ShipStation, and a whole bunch of other stuff that is like so confusing. When something breaks, we go like, where the hell did it break? But
Mhm.
now when anything goes wrong, I could trace back to like how those things are interconnected because your other platform is not talking to the other platform. So you don't know when where the error occur.
Mhm.
So even though like, I'm not saying that migration is ever easy, but once you migrate, you will have actually clarity over the entire system in a way that actually makes sense rather than you open a million tab and like trying to make sense of it externally.
Right.
So and and once you do that, also it cut down and significant like a tech stack used to be like just a monthly bill for all the things. It saved us so much more money to like
How much would you
reduce
say
it.
it saved you? Ballpark.
Wow. Definitely more than 1,000 right now because it's just like our Klaviyo
Each month.
bill. Yeah, each month definitely more than 1,000. And then it also like if you have complexity, you have to hire a bigger staff. I'm not even counting the human resource bill that I have
Right.
to pay. I'm just talking the tax stack because I have to hire the guy to look at all the platform, put it all in a spreadsheet. Like even if I could crawl the data and do all the Google Analytics side, it still wouldn't be it wouldn't it's really hard to fix anything because imagine like you hire a different plumber, a different electrician, they don't talk to each other, and you're trying to build a house. It is madness when
A nightmare.
yeah, a
Yeah.
nightmare. So for
Yeah.
that itself, like I go with that
Mhm.
any day.
Well, and then what makes it worse then is like when you're trying to get support, you've got five, six different support things, but like where did it break down and whose responsibility is like nobody, right? Like it lands back on you, or maybe you have a tech person that then knows how to glue all this stuff together, but then like you're totally dependent on that tech person for everything. So here, our support team can see everything. Our
Yep.
concierge team can see everything because it's all in one place.
Yeah, and they could tell you, oh, this automation was triggered because you set it up this way here, and then I would never to think that that would have was
Mhm.
there originally. But now
Right.
I see that all those things are possible. So it I don't know. Back in the day, I have no appreciation for like software engineer and coding, but now I go like now I understand why codes are beautiful because it just organized in a way that makes intuitive
Mhm.
sense.
And it
And
has
that's
to be.
one thing that I really start to appreciate because the level of beauty that I could bring into my own engineering, it also makes the business beautiful.
Mhm.
So like
Dude, I love
it
that you say
actually
that.
brings some order to my chaos, which is hard
Mhm.
because like, like entrepreneur ADHD, like you need all the support to make it all work and dyslexia. But this is the first time I actually very clear on every aspect of my business and I could hold it in one breath, like in one thought, because they're
Mhm.
all interconnected in a way that I couldn't before. It would just never it just like I cannot see the mental picture. And then when you can't see the mental picture, you just go to overwhelm.
Yeah. Dude, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that you bring that in, like the beauty, right? And that's tied again to simplicity. Because if it's complex, it's not, there's nothing beautiful about that. It's like, is that I like to think of also like elegant simplicity. It's not a
Mhm.
simple, it's the elegant simplicity where you get
Yeah.
it just right and it's beautiful. Yeah.
And that's what one thing that I gotten before. You guys coach me on how to make it more elegant.
Mm.
Like when I asked support ticket or concierge, I go like, what is that might not be the best way like to do this. Like, what do you suggest? And they give us their, hey, this is a much better way to design your system, because
Mm,
they're not just answering a technical question. Like, I could actually share them what business problem I'm trying to solve, and
mm.
they could give me some suggestion or go like, here's uh uh a lot of Simplero user, the best performing one, are doing it like this. Maybe this would apply to you. So they don't like tell you what to do. You always have to still think, but they could give you like a framework that might work better for you. So I have gotten like actually after migrated, that's what the first time we actually clean it up. And this is the first time that we built something that is actually elegant. Before was just a hot mess that we just like don't know what's going on. We give up. So
That's
so
fantastic.
that was really helpful. It's not I don't take the credit. It's really like with the help with the coaching and sort of how to organize data.
Well, thank you, and I love it. And it's one of the things that I see is that one of the huge advantages to when you, I know it's scary as heck to go like, oh, like I got to move from one platform to another. It's super scary. Like, oh shit, what if I break something? I've never done this before and all that. But the opportunity is that you take that opportunity to make it simpler and make it beautiful, right? You rethink what you're doing. What do I actually care about? What do I love? What's working, what's doing something for me, what just feels like a drag on me, like it's the time and energy audit too, right? Like what gives me energy, what gives me joy, and what gives me money, and then just keep the best parts and then clean them up, make them even more elegant and simple, and then that's what you build out rather than trying to move everything from like 3 years of fumbling around and not knowing what you're doing and failing. Like why would you copy all that stuff? Just knowing what you know today, let's recreate it like just the best parts in the simplest way possible.
Yeah, it actually I'm so glad you talked about this because we basically look back. We got customer data from this is crazy, from Simplero, then to Ontraport, then to Kajabi, then ClickFunnels 1.0 and 2.0, and we have all this databases, right? And then we were like pulling our hair out on how do we organize all the purchase history and email contact we created. And thank God for Victor, we like from the concierge team, help us figure out how to create the master sheet. So we actually like bite the bullet and did all the organization. And it's like from this huge mess, now we did it yesterday with like tagging the people who have bought it from multiple platforms. And now it's like, oh, I could just do that in one click and then it just spit out all the things that we need. And I could
Oh, nice.
segmentate a list that I couldn't from all the other platform because it's all over the place. So, and I don't think most users will be importing from all the different platforms. I actually forgot Klaviyo as well.
Mhm.
So, and Zap. So now is actually organized in a way that actually makes sense. And so so doing if you are worried about migration is actually really good as a business owner to look at your structure, because your structure originally was built because each platform have their own structure. But if you take just a little time to understand some principle, like Victor taught us about like naming convention that actually makes sense instead of
Mm.
randomly just come up with categories and type. So now like, oh, that makes sense. So then we don't even need to like we could reference their language or the naming convention we created. And so we know instead of just a random email on your contact
Mhm.
list, they all make sense now.
Yeah, fantastic. No one's perfect. Like, what are some of the drawbacks that you've seen or downsides?
I think one of their challenges is that you are in the process of launching all this new feature from 1.0 to like the page builder 2.0.
Mhm.
So I just see their all the potential in 2.0. It's just waiting for all the implementation that
Mhm.
you're building on this new thing, and it would take it to another level. So
Mhm.
it's sometimes the frustration is that do we wait for this feature to be built out a little bit more or bite the bullet and
Mhm.
build it now while those features are being added? So
Yeah.
those are some of the challenges. And
And that
also,
and that's interesting
yeah,
because like we'll forever continue to be building
yeah,
on things, right? And make them
yeah,
better and make them better in response to what people are asking for and what people are trying to do that currently complicated or hard to do or impossible to do. So like there, yeah, that's always going to be there, right? To some levels, like, oh, like Yeah.
But that downside also created a huge upside because when I was, talking to concierge about this problem, and then I was able to reach your tech support team and then go like, hey, maybe this suggestion would make this problem that I run into as a business owner. And they go like, duh, we definitely need to have this. And then you guys will quickly implement something that actually like relatively quickly based on a user problem that I'm having. So
Mhm.
that responsiveness is absolutely amazing. So I feel like, I feel a sense that I could grow with you guys, rather than,
Mm.
a lot of time you jump into a platform and you're like, you're fixing this, and then you get, and then once you're like too deep invested in it, you feel like you cannot pull out, right?
Mhm.
But with Simplero, I could like grow and change, and also, yeah, I just see, but the base infrastructure, like how you think about I don't know, the design principle with the automation trigger and the way that you have mapped it in your head. I think that you're the original engineer around that. That gives you the power to build anything like Legos, right? You have to design the first Lego, but Lego could build anything. And because how Simporo has the Lego structure, you
Mhm.
could build anything because of that how they engineered the Lego
Yeah.
in the first place. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that possibility is priceless because you could yeah, go anywhere you want.
Sweet. I love it. And then yeah, and like our vision is um to take someone who is from before the moment that we talked about before, right?
Yeah.
From before that moment of like, oh my God, I can make money passively online, right? Like $45 out of fucking nowhere. Like, that's insane, right? And then
Yeah.
you start to see the vision of what's possible for you. Take people all the way from pre that moment through that moment. And
Hmm.
then two, like a multi, our top member right now is making um multiple eight figures. They're in the high mid eight figures. So like north of $50 million a year. And going to break into the nine figures this year or next, or probably this year. So and being able to run that whole range so that you don't run out of runway, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to be like, oh shit, now I need to move everything to a whole new software. But just keeping it simple the whole way, and then but giving you those power tools, simple like Legos that you say that can then like boom, it's there when I need it, and then have the support to back you up. So it really becomes like your
Yeah.
home in the internet, the home for your business, right?
Yeah.
Homecoming. I love that you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the infinite possibility is great, and I could see how you guys could always implement new feature or new upgrade base, but at the foundation, I think that like the first principle
Mhm.
of it, it's good.
Yeah.
So, and that's not always the case because if you start off kind of funky, like it will always be a little fucked up no matter how
Yeah.
you do it down the road. So I think that is one thing that I realized that all the other platform was like, it's impossible, and they all, you know what, the other thing is they all still need to, like if you have your email and your fulfillment and all this stuff and different things, because they are written in different Lego pieces, different types of Lego, they don't interconnect, and you have to crazy glue. Basically that's what Zap is. So you
Mhm.
could never do those things if it's not written in the same principle,
Mhm.
or the
Yeah.
same design in the first place.
Yeah. So true. All right, Kenneth, this has been a pleasure. I really appreciate you taking time to do this. Final words of wisdom to someone out there looking to replicate your success.
I really encourage you to, if you have something to offer the world and want to teach somebody something and you have like something to give, just make it digital and let the world feed you, like pay you to do what you love so you could scale that. And the scariest part is just like doing that first step. So you owe it to yourself to at least do the first one and see if you like it or not. Because otherwise you're just stuck in the old game and it never like you can really ever get out. So at least have the courage to build the first one, and I think it will change your life. And most people will be like, "Holy shit, I didn't even know that was possible." Yeah,
Fantastic. Thank you, my friend. Really
thank
appreciate it.
you.
We'll do some workshops in the coming weeks. It's going to be fun.